guys, welcome to CPLFever. It's your host, Jack Murray and Andrew Murray here, and today we are joined by the fellows at Down the Pub podcast, Anthony Abbott, and regular contributors, Chris Searle and Carlos Benitez.
So our next episode of Down the Pub podcast is going to be about how much we love the CPL. So your show will be full of us saying how horrible the CPL is, and their show is going to be, we love it so much. These people are amazing.
Then I'm going to get my editor to mix it together.
This is all getting cut up.
Let's just leave this on behind.
We'll have you say one thing, Anthony, and then we'll have you contradicting yourself.
It's just me saying like the Wanderers are terrible. Wanderers are terrible.
And then I'm going to hire a bunch of Twitter bots and just retweet it.
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Okay, let's just leave this all behind. Let's leave that all behind and ask how did the Down the Pub podcast become the Down the Pub podcast?
So as everybody that goes to the pub and watches football, we all think that we have the best opinions in the world and all that kind of good stuff. So me and my friends, like we've been talking about this for quite a while about starting a podcast, and it's one of those things like when you have a few beers, you're always kind of saying, I'll do this, I'll do that, and then you never do it. So one day I was just like, you know what, I'm actually going to do it. So I went out and one of my friends had just started a podcast, so I got a few little tips from him on what to do, how to start and stuff like that. And me and my friend just went to Clay West out in Bears Lake, and we just talked about Manchester United because he's a Manchester United fan, and that was pretty much it. And like we just kind of grew from there. So like I kind of we set like little goals for ourselves where like, you know, eventually we wanted to get like a player on, which we managed to, and just kind of built it up that way. And it's been tons of fun. Like it's made me realize how much football is, there's so many football fans here in the city. We're really lucky that there's so many here in the city that will take the time to listen to me and Carlos and Chris talk nonsense about football. And it's been a lot of fun, and like, you know, there's a big history here in the city too that I didn't realize. So I really enjoy it. It takes a lot of my time up, but it's definitely worth it. Someday it's going to be my full-time job. So I'm joking, it'll never be my full-time job.
Hey, you never know, brother. You never know.
I just wanted to say that now you're the 6th best soccer show in Canada. So how does that feel?
Oh,
for all of you guys.
It's amazing, and like it kind of it's as you know, it can be a very lonely business sometimes because you're constantly looking at how many people are listening or watching. It's a numbers game, and it's very hard to get the validation that like what you're doing is actually worth your time. So little things like that kind of to me, like, you know, I saw that and I just sent it to the lads as a stat kind of thing. But to me, like the best thing is that when I'm out, like I'm talking to people, and you know, I'm like, oh, you know, like I do the Down the Pub podcast, and they say, oh, I listen to that. That means a lot more to me, you know, that like there's people that are actually listening and they enjoy what we're talking about, and they have opinions on what we're talking about. So to me, that means a lot more than that sort of stuff. The fact that people are actually tuning in and like are enjoying the show, that's the main thing for me, to be honest. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, the show is great. I love listening to it.
It's a ton of fun, and it's like, you know, like obviously like Chris and Carlos put like a lot into it too, and you know, we're COVID's been a game changer for like a lot of people. You know, like the players have been thankfully like a lot very open to being on the show, and I'm sure you guys have found that too, that, you know, like thank God that the CPL, because it's a new league too, that the players are willing to promote the league, because at the end of the day it's where they work and they need people to go and watch them or they don't get paid, right? So the clubs have been very open, the players have been very open, and we're really lucky that we're here doing this kind of stuff at the start of it, because if I was back in Europe, like it's totally different to try and get players and stuff like that to come on to the podcast, because they're very media savvy and you have to go to the clubs and there's a lot of back end stuff you have to do, whereas here thankfully it's like ask a player, do you want to come on, and then you kind of just work something out with the club, and it's a lot easier. So
Yeah.
You had other players outside of the CPL on your show, quite a few. So
Joel Waterman,
how have
right?
you found
And others.
that kind of approaching players from different leagues or?
It's it's tougher, to be perfectly honest. Like, I mean, as I said, like you have to. A lot of the clubs back home have a much bigger media division. Like they're very careful about what the players can and can't say, and they have to be very careful about the message that they're putting out there. So there is that aspect to it. As I said, like with the CPL, we're very, very lucky that the players are very open, and we kind of have, I wouldn't say free range, but we're able to ask questions that we probably aren't able to ask players back home. But I think the good thing about the show that we do, and you guys too, it's pretty easy going. We're not like we don't throw like curveball questions in there to make people feel awkward or anything like that. Like it's very natural that people want to say something, they can, but at the same time, like we're not attack hounds who want that soundbite that will make our show like really popular on the back of a player saying something that they shouldn't have. Like we're not.
Because I find that other like shows over in Europe or interviews, they just want to get the like something that they're trying to trick the players into saying something that they're not supposed to, or they just want something that's not out in the public, and they just want something that's so exclusive, or they're just like, give me this, I want this. And and like they throw curveball questions, like you said.
And they take stuff out of context too. So I mean, like that's also like something that like you guys do and we do, is that like we like I'll always ask if there's something that's a little bit, that it's a little bit near the knuckle kind of in terms. We'll say like, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, because it's not, they're doing us a favor by being on the show. So I'm not going to make it horrible, and like we like to have a lighthearted approach to stuff, and I think that's where like you naturally get those kind of stories. Like I mean, like Carlos will tell you that we were talking to Luca Gasparado the other day on our show, and we were just talking like normally, blah blah blah, and he told us a story that he'd never told somebody else before, and it's just little things like that it's just, that's why it's down the pub. Is like you're just sitting having a coffee or a beer with your friends, and it's just a natural conversation, and it's not like shine a light in their eyes and say, give me the answer, so we try and keep it lighthearted, and I feel like you get more out of people when you do it that way, that you're being honest and upfront, and you're not like, as you said, like trying to be like sneaky and trying to get that get them to say something that they shouldn't, so
So speaking of beer, what's the preferred pint of choice for the down the pub crew?
So for me, I've got a couple of go-tos. It really depends on where I'm going. But if I'm at Dirty Nelly's, I'll usually have Harp, because that's a beer from back home. And yes, a lot of people are surprised at how like blasé it is when they actually taste it, because it's just like a regular beer back home, but it just reminds me of home. If I go, and I'll have a Guinness, obviously. Otherwise, I'll choose Heineken. I love Heineken. It's beer of champions, to be honest.
They are the Champions League sponsor, so they really could be the champions.
Thank you.
What about you, Carlos?
I like Heineken.
Chris?
I like Heineken. That's my first option, and then probably or a Stella Artois. I like more European beers. I think the Europeans are prime in its game in beer. Doesn't matter if it's Germany, Belgium, or anything. It has to be European beer. So Heineken or Stella. But if I have a Guinness, that's probably my supper, because that makes me full the whole day. A Guinness is very filling. You can have supper, a pint of beer.
You don't drink, you eat it with a spoon.
You eat it with a spoon, yeah. So those are my two options. And if I go locally, I like the Raker's Red beer. I found it quite tasty. So
I like that too.
So yeah, go for it, Chris.
I guess it's not local, but like on this continent, I suppose would be Coors. I'm not a big Coors Light guy, but Coors Banquet, if you have it, I'm there. And I find a lot more bars are picking it up. So I think there's a lot more people that are like me who used to drink Coors Light, but kind of grew up a little bit, and now they want to have something like a slightly little tiny bit stiffer. So, but if I'm going to get fancy, I'm going on the complete opposite side of the world. Give me a tall glass of Sapporo.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely,
Sapporo's good.
positively
Yeah,
love that
good choice.
stuff. A warm, hot, warm or cold. I always joke. I just love it. It's a different experience, different drinking experience. Its bitterness is actually smooth, which is why I really like it, because I like a bitter beer, but I also like to drink a bitter beer. And I find that if I drink too much bitter beer, the hangover is not pretty. So I find Sapporo is the nice, healthy medium.
I like those Coors Banquet, the mason jar glasses that they have. I've got somehow I've got a couple in my house. I don't know how they got there. The beer fairies must have brought them over. It wasn't somebody put them into my wife's handbag or anything like that, I promise. But yeah.
Summer wise could be a nice also a shock top.
That's
Yeah,
good
not
one.
bad.
With orange, yeah. That's good. What about you guys?
They're Rickards. That you said you
Oh,
guys.
daddy.
Me, yeah.
Jack, put that Coors Light down.
I'm kind of into the craft beer stuff. I really like IPAs. Actually, I like variety in beer. So I like to kind of try different things. Some of the ones that I really like around here are Boxing Rock, North Brewery, and Two Crows. They make some interesting.
The beer market here in Halifax is incredible. Like it's amazing. It's just, I find that like if I'm sitting at home, I'm okay like drinking. I just can't sit and drink like 4 or 5 like anything from, because it's usually so much stronger too, right? So if I'm going to the pub with the guys to watch a game, you want to drink something light.
Two Crows has a really nice light one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lisa beer or something. It's kind of a German kind of.
I also Garrison or Propeller? They sponsored the Liverpool Supporters Club, and they do one called Jurgen Hopp.
Oh really?
Yeah, which is
you gotta try that.
Yeah,
you have to try that.
That's a good name.
I love that.
Yeah. It's a really tasty beer, and if you're a Liverpool Supporters Club member, I think you get a point during the games for like $6 or something like that. There's a discount on it. So yeah, it's actually good stuff. So
that sounds good.
That. Yeah,
we can't leave Jack out of this conversation, Jack. If you're picking an appetizer, what's your go-to?
An appetizer? Like,
because if we're down the pub, you got to have some pepperoni or some chicken wings or something. Like, what's your favorite?
Diet Pepsi, ginger ale.
Well, no, you got to find out. I don't know about the drink. I'm trying to find out what he's eating.
Apples.
Oh, gee.
He's a soccer player, man. He's healthy.
Down the pub. You're going to eat some apples down the pub.
Apples in a glass of water.
We do things differently.
Hey, you're ahead of your time, brother. You're a smart
that's
man.
good. That's good. That's good.
You're a smart man.
I like that.
I'm trying to think of a pub that would have apples, though.
And he'll go for anything with shrimp.
Oh,
nice.
Good man.
If you go to Nelly's and you ask for apples, they'll probably charge you about $20. Sorry, Gino.
They tell you it's organic.
Yeah.
Well, I also wanted to ask you, how did you guys meet? Because you've told us about how down the pub it came to be, but how did you guys meet? Was that a Wanderers game?
Do you want me? Yeah.
Or anybody?
Yeah, no. I ended up meeting Anthony. I was just active on Facebook, active on Instagram, just posting stuff, sharing stuff, sharing my opinions. And I mean, I never even really knew who Anthony was. I had listened to Down the Pub once before we were on the Roundtable. I forget, like, I think it might have been that Manchester United episode, your very first episode, if I'm not mistaken. So I like knew who Anthony was. I had seen it before, but this was before I was really, before I really had time to listen to anything. Like, I only really got back into listening to music in the last couple of months too, just because my life was so hectic. I had no time. So Anthony was kind enough to invite me onto a roundtable with some other absolutely incredible, amazing, splendid Wanderers fans, all amazing people. And we've all managed to stay in touch over the last few months via Facebook inbox group too, where I think Blueface just got married.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah. So like we've been able to really stay involved in everybody's lives and keep in touch with one another. But I think it was a couple weeks after that, Anthony, you asked me to come down and talk.
We were doing an episode with Steve, I think, about
that's right.
a basketball episode.
Basketball, yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, we just kind of had a chat, and he said, you want to contribute? And I said, yeah, 100%, man, this would be fun. So I actually had like some technical issues over a period there where I wasn't able to do any interviews or anything. And this was not too long after Carlos had joined us. And it was a blessing that Anthony was allowing me to come back to the team, because I know that if I was a boss and my employees missed work, I'd have some questions to ask. But Anthony saw faith in me, and I guess that's the best way to answer that question.
Carlos actually pays us to be on the show.
He charged me in euros.
Yeah.
Because he thinks he's from Ireland. He
pays me 5 points of Heineken a week to be on the show.
So. You know how we joined it was Blueface. He was like a guest in the show. He told me you need to listen to these guys. So then I started listening to them, and I was like, wow, that's pretty neat. And then I start like in my Spotify listen while I'm working, like every single episode was like, I got hooked. Like, this is pretty neat. And then I met Anthony in the kid launch for the Wonders.
The kid launch.
So then like we were just talking about football, and they just said, yeah, I'm gonna add you on Insta, and then like we talk, and I will let you, I'm gonna invite you to have a roundtable. Yeah, sure. But then COVID happened, and he started inviting me, like, to do it over Zoom. And I remember my first one was with Alex De Corolis and Akeem Garcia. That was a lot of fun. And after that, and after that, it grew organically, and now like they, like, I don't know what they were thinking, and now they have me now part of the team. So
he's like a bad smell we can't get rid of. So
yeah.
Like I said, Anthony's a very forgiving man, and
yeah.
I mean, I can speak on Carlos's behalf in saying that the last few months has been the most fun I've ever had doing anything media related. I have a bit of a journalism background, and this has really reignited my passion to get back into school, to get myself recertified again. I'm CP certified, but I mean, if you don't do anything with it, it's just a piece of paper. So to be a little sappy, and I've told Anthony this already, like he's really pushed me in a point in my life where I kind of needed to be pushed. And I always believe things happen for a reason, and that's what it is. So yeah, I think Carlos can probably say the same thing in a less drastic way.
Yeah. No, I feel like, I don't know, it just organically happened. And like when COVID happened, like Chris was having technical difficulties, and I started like doing it with Anthony. I was like, I hope I'm doing it right. And then I don't know, like I kept going and going, and it was, we start having interviews and adding a little bit of
behind the scenes stuff. I don't even know if Anthony knows this that much. Like after every interview, Carlos would message me. Like,
yeah. I was like
half panicked, right? And I'm just like, dude, I wasn't there. I don't know how you did.
Yeah. So I was just kind of like, cause I don't want to overstep Chris's, and I got Chris' blessing and everything. And then like he came in, and I was like, oh, I hope there's chemistry and we can.
Bro, like you said, it was organic.
Yeah.
Like it was absolutely organic. And like that period I was away, like I wasn't worried about anything aside from the fact of just letting Anthony down. But there was stuff going on, and this darn computer decided it didn't want to be good. I mean, where's my mic at? Oh, I think it's gone. Yeah, I threw it out. The mic was being a piece of junk. My mixer was being everything was being a piece of junk. So to what I was saying before, like that's motivation. Like with a lot of other stuff in my life, if I had so many curveballs thrown my way, I just quit. But again, Anthony sees something, so I couldn't let him down. And even the other day, not being able to do that interview with Luca, it sucked, but he knows I'm a family man too. And it was a situation where, I had to take care of my little man, but these guys are a deadly duo. I actually say to people all the time, my favorite episodes to listen to are episodes I'm not on. It's just a fact. And I think that's what makes us a pretty good team, not to speak on these guys' behalf, but I feel like, you know, I just did that interview with Chris and Alex, and, you know, as much as it sucked not being able to do it with Carlos and Anthony, I felt like if I did anything wrong or I misstepped or I did this or I did that, they'd give me an honest critique. And, you know, like Anthony said, you did great. And Carlos was like, great interview. And I'm just like, that's genuine. That's not just them saying it to get it out of the way. And I feel like that's what makes us a good team. Like, even not to keep rambling on, like more behind the scenes, sometimes when we finish interviews, we'll scrum and talk for another hour, hour and a half about everything. And I feel like those conversations have been as important to our chemistry on the mic as our actual interviews on the mic.
So that actually kind of ties into a question I was going to ask, because I was going to say, besides, you know, the obvious, you know, massive amounts of fame where you got to like cover yourself while you're walking down the street, and the copious amounts of money that you're now making from your podcast. Yeah. What are some of the side benefits of doing this podcast? You know, maybe something unexpected.
The biggest thing for me is I've always been fascinated by like how footballers they lead their lives. It's always been like fascinating to me, like how athletes actually go about doing stuff, and having that insight. Like, you know, it's crazy. Like the thing I've learned is like how much like dedication, and like I see like obviously in Jack, like how much dedication he's got to his football and stuff like that, and it's all that. And it's crazy like hearing like people who probably didn't have like, you know, the same opportunities as other people, but they just persevered with it, and like they've gone and played in Europe, like in kind of not the big leagues. They played in Finland and Sweden and like the lower leagues in England and stuff like that, and just the pure sheer will to succeed in something. It's inspiring, and to me that's the big thing. I thought it'd be just me just hanging out with my friends and just like talking about the weekend's Premier League fixtures. I mean, it's kind of taken a slightly different direction with COVID, where we've actually got to talk to some players and hear their stories and stuff like that. And yeah, it's like it's to me, it's like there's so many sacrifices that these guys make that we don't appreciate, and we just see them as guys that we go and they've got a great life because they play football, which is something we've all dreamed of doing. We don't see how they got there, and that's the biggest surprise to me. The biggest side benefit is hearing different people's stories. Like I just look like. My wife says that I'm nosy and I'm like a gossiper and all that kind of stuff. And this is the perfect platform for it, because I get to hear people like what's going on in their lives and stuff like that. But it is fascinating, and it's like, you know, like through adversity. Like, I mean, like talking to Daryl Fordyce from Valor, like where, you know, like he just, his wife was pregnant and they had to go back to Ireland because their team disbanded in Edmonton, and she had to stay here because she wasn't well. Like that kind of stuff, you don't hear that. Like all you see is just a soundbite on the Canadian Premier League website about, oh, Daryl Fordyce is back here in Canada. So it's kind of hearing the sacrifices that to his family life that he's making to be a professional footballer. It's inspiring, to be perfectly honest. And I think that any kind of kids who, like Jack, who want to become footballers and get ahead in the game, it's listening to those stories that will get you there, to be honest. So yeah, it's that would be the big benefit for me, is like just hearing people's gossip.
I think for me personally, to keep it brief, I remember earlier in the year when we interviewed Zachary Secunda. Anthony took a little bit too long to get the interview out into the air, but Zach was depending on that interview to kind of communicate with his parents. It was kind of cool how he said, you know, where's this at? My mom and dad want to listen to it. But it was cool to be able to give another outlet and another platform to these guys. And in some of their cases, this is their first run as a professional footballer. So like speaking to Chris Insaw, he's had like 3 interviews in his life and 2 of them are on Down the Pub. So it's also cool to treat professional footballers like professional footballers, and to make you kind of feel like, even though we're not professional journalists, professionals in a sense where we can kind of get down to their level they come down to our level. I apologize. and to follow up what Anthony said, like the stories that these guys tell you that they've never told before, like when was it Jordan Brown was telling us about Andy Carroll.
Oh yeah, that was
like,
funny.
and I was able to tell my friends, who were then able to tell their friends, and Jordan was also close with Dimitri Mitchell, and off the air I was able to talk to Jordan about Dimitri and why he was at the club for so long but never made the first team, and you know, just stuff that I would never normally know. And again, like I owe it all to Anthony, because you know, I used to be 3 steps away from some of these superstars, but now I feel like not only am I a step away, I'm talking to some of these superstars, and listening to Anthony interview Liam Ridgewell, I felt like my team won the World Series, because it's just like, you know, seeing where the show was and seeing where Anthony has taken it with mine and Carlos's help, but I mean, through his hard work, it's fascinating. So I guess to answer would be pride. I think it's pretty cool to feel proud of what you've done, and to feel proud of what somebody else has done.
Zach, I actually sent, I don't know if I told you this, but I actually sent like a rough copy of the interview to Zach's mom about 4 or 5 days before we released it.
Didn't know that.
Because he messaged me. He's like, oh, like my mom and dad want, like my mom wants to really hear the episode. So I was like, hey man, here you go, just send it to her, like it's a rough cut, and yeah.
That's cool. I actually didn't even know like that full story, so there you go. We're telling stories now.
Yeah.
And a quick story with me is that, you know how you said like how you go down to their level. Sometimes I'll say like, it's an honor for you to come on, but I mean it the other way. I say, I'm so sorry, I meant it that way.
I talked to Alex and to Zhao just after they did the interview, and they both said that they were deeply honored to be on your show, Jack. So you're right.
And Peter too. Peter's man. I love Jack and his dad. That was Peter's quote. All kinds of love for you guys, for sure.
So switch the question to you guys. Like, what made you guys decide to? I know Jack always did his videos and all that kind of stuff. Like, what's inspired you guys to do the videos and the podcast name too, right? So.
Well, we were really so excited that a professional league was coming to Canada, and on my YouTube channel we do an occasional like match review. So, and we sometimes do like Champions League finals review before. So for us, we just really wanted, because it was such a small league in like, we really only started this year, but it's still such a small league. We want people to love it. We want people to know about it. And we really, because we knew a lot about soccer, we knew a lot of stats, and we really liked the league and stuff. So we just decided, you know what, let's take a leap of faith, see if how this will go. So we opened an Instagram. We opened Instagram. Daddy may have opened a Twitter. I don't know anything about Twitter, so that's why I'm not sure about it. Even
you don't want to. It's awful.
Yeah, stay away from there, buddy.
Stay away from there.
But we made a blog post, and we just put the videos on my YouTube channel. So we just wanted to talk about our love of soccer, and maybe we'd like someone would learn something from it, like about the players, and we wanted people to know more about the league. So we thought it'd be fun to talk about it. So we did do that. That's my story. What about yours, Daddy?
Yeah, so it's kind of like we started, you know, getting into soccer, and then we watched some big games together, and we'd kind of do a review or talk about it. And then it kind of morphed into, you know, Jack had the unique experience of being a ball boy for the Wanderers. And I really like that because he got to see that he's so interested in soccer, and his interest is growing so much. And so he gets a different perspective from being on the field. And then we have this unique experience where, you know, we have this just league that's just starting out, and we wanted to kind of reach out and just kind of talk to players, because one of the things that I like doing is kind of getting in there and seeing what they did and finding out what kind of sacrifices they made. I'll often ask, like, when did you start working on your weak foot, or something like that I think is important for young players like Jack's age to to hear about and develop, because that's not a question that they would ever be asked in a traditional interview, right? Because it's only someone that's interested in how they really developed, and got good as a soccer player would ask about. So I like asking those sorts of questions, and kind of, it's almost like you're kind of doing this interview, but I also want to expose Jack to a lot of different stories and a lot of different experiences that they have, because it's a great opportunity. And he has this unique situation of being 12 years old and being very, very fluent and good on camera. And so there's also the element to kind of be more comfortable with that, and doing interviews just to develop those skills that normal 12-year-olds wouldn't really be comfortable doing. So I guess that's kind of like a little bit meta, right? So part of it is he's learning to do these things and to kind of be comfortable in this situation at the same time. So in a really long-winded way, that's kind of why we're doing it.
Like that's the great thing. Like, I mean, about the league, as you said, that because it's new, a lot of the podcasts are kind of popping up because everybody's kind of really into it. But you guys have a very unique look at it, because obviously Jack is wanting to be where these guys are. Like, unfortunately, we're past that stage. We can't go back in time. So, like, the reason why we wouldn't ask that question is because, my left foot is my left foot, right? Whereas, like, Jack is obviously trying to develop, and it's such a unique way for people to hear the way that people actually make themselves better at the game, and the dedication that goes into it. It's crazy, and like, to listen to your show, it's amazing to get that perspective, and it's definitely something that not just like adults should listen to. It should be like, if anybody's has kids who are interested in becoming football players, it doesn't have to be a professional level. It's a great way to hear the players, the discipline that goes into it, and like I love your show, and it's definitely, like as I said, it's unique, and you guys are doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And you guys are doing an extra amazing job.
Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate it.
All right, so I've got another
question.
question. All right,
Okay.
You can go. You go
I
ahead.
actually have this question for Carlos. How did you start with Diaz Football, or what made you want to create Diaz Football? Your line, and I love that, all those stickers and shirts that says Golazo, Golazo, and I also love the Quarantine Premier League lion beard. I think it's really cute.
I love that.
Funny.
You should get Carlos to scream Galazzo. Go for it, buddy.
Well, that's a project that I always wanted to do, because I feel like I wanted to create something that resembles like football culture, right? And here, especially in the CPL, like a lot of people are like jumping into soccer or football. I call it football because that's the right way to do it. Wants to jump into football. So I say, why not start now something that I like? And I always had these designs, like I always had that project in mind, like many years ago. I wanted to do, because I like streetwear clothing, and I like design. Like, I'm a very visual guy, and I wanted to do something that it was kind of like reflects the football culture, and I want something that people wear, and also like reflects the passion and spreads kind of like the cult of football, what it is. And that's how I started to say, like, I'm going to start it just like for the sake of saying, okay, like if it works, if it doesn't. And that's why, like, I had all these designs and everything, and I tried to adopt like the as you said, like the beer with the lion. It's perfect for COVID. And I was like start like coming up with concepts. Like, for example, I have another t-shirt that says living room ultras because people can't go to the stadium. So you are pretty much an ultra in your living room watching football on your TV now that is back. So stuff like that, ideas like that, I wanted to come up with, and I wanted to people to start like checking up like a new alternative, like, because there's so many merch out there, like everybody reps their own team, but I want people to rep football as a sport.
I got you.
So,
yeah.
And you have a shirt that says the football culture, right? And I really like that too.
That's what I mean. Like, no matter, like, I know, like, we got Force fans, you got Wanderers fans, you got Ottawa fans, but at the end, Canada is a country that it's more hockey. So this is a way to spread out the football culture, you know? So there's another sport up there. So let's embrace it. Let's embrace this culture and let's show them that football is the king of the sports around the globe. And now that the CPL started, I think it's better to embrace it and start like having more people learning about the sport, because like we got that random casual fans that they watch the sport for a while, like us, and we're very passionate about it. But there's a lot of people that never watched football before. And they're starting to, and they love it. Like, they went to the Wanderers grounds. They just like, they love the atmosphere. They love the supporters, the chants, the banter, you know, that experience of going to the stadium that we love. So why not like spreading up the culture of the sport? And that's how it became. And the name 10, it means 10 in Spanish.
Okay.
And the number 10 is the playmaker, is the one that puts the magic on the pitch. So that's why I wanted to name it that way. Yeah.
Amazing. Love it.
That's cool.
I love the France World Cup logo T-shirt.
Oh yeah, that one's really cool too.
Yeah.
So who is the scariest looking player coming out of COVID? Like Jorginho?
I think it's gonna be Sergio Ramos or Allison.
Yeah, Sergio's beard definitely got a lot bigger.
And then Allison Becker.
I also had a bigger since COVID. Like he had a scruffy, like
I'd say Joe Morelli. He's got that headband thing going on now. Have you seen it? You guys have seen it, right? He's the scary. I think he's the scariest coming out of it, to be honest. Or Peter's got a headband thing going on now too. It's like they're all.
He said he can't take it off.
Yeah, and Alex has got the locks going too. So I think the whole Wanderers team are probably the scariest coming out of it, to be honest.
The beard of was Riggy.
Yes.
Oh,
Riggy has the coolest beard though.
Yeah.
If Riggy is listening, we want to know what oil is he using, because like when I grow it, like it grows like that, but you know.
There's a lot of work that goes into that beard, man.
That's a lot of maintaining, you know.
It's
a beard. That's a well done beard.
He's up at 5 o'clock, 2 hours on the beard, 2 hours on the training pitch.
Yes.
My buddy said it collects its own Serb check. Such a nice beard. It's got a personality of its own.
I love that.
That's a funny question, actually. I can't even think. I mean, David Luiz came out of COVID pretty scary on the field.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of a worse performance than that. He looked like he was off for 2-3 months.
I thought I couldn't see a worse performance since after the World Cup where they lost 7-1. But he did it. He went there. So yeah, he's.
I never been a big fan of David Luiz, to be honest.
He had no position.
I never, and also like Conte, when he was in Chelsea, he had a line of 3 defenders and put him there. Like, that's sacrilege, you know, like he had the honor to play in a line of 3. That Chelsea was dominating the league though. So I give kudos to Conte to kind of like,
he always seemed like a midfielder to me. Like, he's got like a great, he's a great passer of the ball, and he's a great, obviously he's great at free kicks.
He used to, but I don't know. Like, I feel like there's way better than that.
I really feel like you should do a T-shirt where it's like him as Slideshow Bob.
Yes.
I will be the first in line for that one, man. To be honest.
And I also wanted to ask you, Anthony, how did your shop come out? Because I have this.
Hey. So, that's amazing. It's so amazing that you bought that.
I don't even have one, buddy. You're the man. I don't even have one. I've been telling Anthony for like 2 months.
Carlos again, Carlos is the man. So my one of my friends, Josh Rooney, he's a graphic designer, and he knocked up the All Down the Pub podcast logo really quickly because my original one was awful because I can't do anything with that. And then Carlos came on board, and the first thing he did was rework the logo for me, and he came up with the bottle cap logo as well. So I was like, hey, they look kind of cool. And a friend of mine started to shop with his podcast. I was like, hey, I like money, so
hey, I like money.
so I just I just uploaded the pictures onto a few of the products that they have on Redbubble, and that's where that came from. Like it's nothing fancy, it's nothing as cool as Carlos is, but you know, it's just a way for it's a branding thing. It's a way for it to get out there, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun to see. I'm amazed that anybody actually bought anything. So thank you. You made my day when you showed me that. So thank you so much.
Soon enough, we're gonna have a craft beer.
Yeah,
that'd be good. I'll have to get in line for that. We'll put links to those stores in the show notes.
Yeah,
and stuff
in the description.
In the description. But yeah, in the link below. Yeah. Okay, so I'm curious, who asked the weirdest questions?
The person who asked
I didn't know you're gonna ask this.
The person who asked the most long-winded questions was probably Chris. Chris likes to wander. He's like the original wanderer, to be honest. Yeah, he just wanders through the questions. I don't think people ask the weirdest questions. I think that it really depends on the guests. And it depends if you want to have. I think so when I'm preparing for an interview, I'll have like my straight questions, and then I'll have a few kind of banter questions, and you kind of get to learn somebody's personality within the first 5-10 minutes of the podcast, and you kind of know where you need to go with the questions. So we tend not to. I don't think we ask weird questions, do we? Maybe maybe Carlos. Carlos asked some weird questions because he seems to get all these weird. Yeah, Carlos does. We were.
I don't ask the weird questions. I ask the sappy ones. Like
that's a good way of putting it.
So Carlos makes most of the people that we have on the show cry because he'll ask them very subtle questions about their past, and they'll just start crying, and he'll bring back awful childhood memories of when they were bullied at school or something, and it's.
I made it now. I'm the one that normally, like, when I ask the questions though, like they've been telling stories that they haven't told before, which is good. I mean, it works a little bit, I guess, but I don't know. It's not weird.
I don't think you guys ask weird questions, but I'm gonna take
Maybe
it.
That was like more self-reflective than anything.
I'm gonna go
that's the way.
To a different question. Who are you most excited to see play for the Wanderers?
Was that sorry?
Who are you most excited to see play for the Wanderers?
Do they have to be a new player, or can they be a player from last year?
They could be a player from last year. It's mainly directed to new players, but it could be a player from last year.
I'll go new player. Jeff Gerard. I know.
I heard you talk about that you were really excited to see him when you were bringing down the Wanderers squad. With Anthony.
I've changed my answer a few times over the last couple of months just because it's been really cool learning about these guys and all their skills, their talents, and their careers and where they've come from. But the second we signed him, I was super excited because we have a player who has genuine quality, a whole level higher than this league, playing in this league, wanting to come to Halifax. Recently, I actually met him about 2 weeks ago now, and actually got to ask him why Halifax, and the fans were part of the reason why. He played in the USL, but he had an injury-riddled season and had a hard time getting fit once he was fit to match fitness, if you will. He would play for like 15 minutes and then have to come off. So he kind of took last year off, but saw a lot of really interesting stadiums and experiences in the USL. And he said from what he heard, Halifax reminded him a lot of Charleston, which
Charleston? Oh, we've been to Charleston.
Oh, have you seen the Battery play down there? No. So they have a reputation of being pretty much the rowdiest, best fans in the USL. And from what Gems was told was that we compared to them almost perfectly. So knowing how he was as a player really excited me then. And I think now that we're a few months since all those players were signed and I've changed my answer a half a dozen times, he's still kind of the first name that comes to mind, because I think as great a partner as Matthew was last year, and Durant especially, I absolutely love that man. I feel like Gems and Peter could be a partnership that can't be beat. And I think that's why he excites me the most, because the guy that I was excited to see a lot last year was Peter. And it's because I felt like even though we got to see him for a few months, we didn't quite get the full Peter Shala experience yet. And I was lucky to see him play for CBU, working with U Sports a couple of times last year. And he's got a different style of game with CBU. And I feel like now that him and Steven have a year together, Steven's going to trust Peter.
We will get to see the full 100% you shall not pass.
Exactly, brother, exactly. So that's my two-part answer, only because the reason why I'm really excited for Gems is because of the partnership with Peter. So yeah. Carlos?
For me, like he already said, like I'm looking forward for that partnership, but I have to pick another one. There's two players that I want to see. And I feel like, and the first one that I'm going to mention is Corey Bent, because every interview that we had, like he's the player that everybody's talking. He's the flavor of the moment, kind of like all the players are talking highly about him, and he has so much talent. And the way that I think he's going to have the same effect that Peter Shala did last season, because he came from CBU. And nobody knew about him, and he was a solid player. I think Corey Ben will be an important piece in our team, especially that chemistry that he has with Peter and everything. That's number one. Number two, I would like to see Joel Morelli.
Yeah.
I saw his highlights, and I feel like he's a player that fits better playing behind the number 9. I feel like I feel like he is the one that should be using the 10 kit.
Yeah, me too.
And he's a natural 10, and the way that he's a hybrid player, because you can tell that he has that Brazilian flair on his game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he has some sort of European manual directness, the very European directness, and how to say this. Not technique, just European structure and the way of follow, like, what the coach says, but adding that style that he has, I think he's going to be a different one.
Like kind of like Arjen Robben, you said in the earlier.
Kind of like that, yes. But for me, like I'll put him like right in the middle, just like creating chaos over there. I think that's the two players that I'm like looking forward to.
I feel like with Joe, like because he's played in England and stuff like that, like he's not afraid to stick his foot in and tackle. Normally with your number 10, they tend to just be all about flair and they get kind of a pass from doing the hard work. Joe looks like the kind of player that will do both. So I think he's going to be a huge addition to the squad. Sorry, Joe.
Rampy said he was giving out the most bruises in training already. That proves your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Zhao will really be able to impact the Wanderers because he can make that final pass. He can take a long shot. I think that the Wanderers made a lot of great signings this year, but he could definitely is a rival for the best one in my eyes.
And also, I want to see the Wanderers this year because last year I couldn't see. I feel like we need to start having like 2 to 3 players at least being good at dead ball, because we don't have any, and we need somebody that can take those free kicks. When you're 1-1, 0-0, like those. I feel like I haven't seen that last year, and there's something that I look forward to see this season because every team has 1 or 2, and I feel like we need to step up in that game a little bit.
From what I've heard, both Alex and Daniel can hit a dead ball, so that's a good start. Having guys that play fullback being able to hit a free kick is super important, and we know Alex can at least put in a half decent corner too. But somebody was saying Rigi can hit a free kick. I don't know. if that's true or
Yeah,
not.
I was going to say that the ones that I'm looking forward to would be like Rigi would be one, because he got so unlucky with injuries down when he's playing in the States, that he looks like he's back to full fitness. And if you see any of his highlight stuff when he plays alongside Drogba and stuff like that, he's an incredible player. And I think that's I think he's going to be the one that's going to just sneak in under the radar. Like, people aren't expecting too much from him, and he's going to probably blow the league apart. I'm also excited that Matteo is going to be. I think it's going to be a big player for us too. So to have that speed on the wing, I felt like we lost a little bit when Zoom was kind of out of the team last year, having that kind of pace down the wing on the left side. So to have somebody that's just as fast now on the right side will be a big plus for us. So the thing I'm most excited about, though, is that, like, last year I felt that we had a really good starting 11. But whenever any of those pieces were missing, like anybody was injured or anything like that, unfortunately I don't think the squad was as strong substitution-wise. This year I feel like the squad is it's like if somebody's out injured, the players that can come in are just as good as the guys that are on the pitch. So I think that's a huge plus, and I think they've done a great job with the recruitment.
We were just saying.
Yeah, because the recruitment is just amazing. Because if you think about the players who we've signed a team to the Gold Cup, who because James Jeffard was a big part of that, to the semifinals, I believe, of the Gold Cup. Semifinals, I believe. And we've also got someone who's played in England and was singled out as a future star, and so many others. We have Rigi, who can use both feet perfectly, who's been able to play with the Drogba, and
LBG is another one.
Yeah, LBG, Corey Bent, just Daniel Kinumbe, everybody on this, the whole team has just gotten so much better. And if I was going to name every person, it would take up so long, and it would take so long, but the team is just so good this year.
I have a question for you, Jack, and your dad. Do you guys think we still need a number 9?
A number 9? Oh, ooh, this is a fun question. I like fun questions. Well, do you know if that NCCA striker signed for us? No, right? He's still on trial, right? Will Bayham?
Fellow that played with fellow that played with Matteo.
Yeah.
Oh,
was he?
Bayham?
Yeah.
Will Bayham?
I don't think he's still here.
He's not.
Good question.
But we had I think Ibra is going to be a big signing for us. He's like a classic number 9, I think.
He has the size, he has everything, but I still feel that we need a number 9 experience. That's a puzzle that it's the last piece that's only my perspective.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Ibra definitely could be the starting number 9, just because he's broke his Holland Hurricanes college record, 101 goals in, I believe, 71 games.
That's incredible.
I know, that is incredible. So I don't think so. If he was,
magnet on it, man. Every time it touched his foot, bro.
I don't really think we need another number 9, because Akeem can always fill in that spot, and we have tons of guys on the flank. We have Rigi, we have Corey Bent, we have Alex Marshall, and if one of them gets injured, then João Morelli can go there. So
you're going to upset Carlos. Carlos hates Akeem. Carlos loves Akeem on the wing, don't you, Carlos?
I think he's a winger. I think I don't like. I mean, he can play as a number 9. And I remember we had this conversation before, even with Derek Martin, and say no, but he play as a 9 too. Say no. So when Akeem was in the show, that's my first question I asked him. You know what, Akeem? I know you can play both, but he said it that he feels more comfortable playing as a winger, and I see him as a winger.
Yeah, I think he should be a winger, because we have people who can fill that spot, and I believe Alex Marshall also said he was comfortable there. And João Morelli also has some experience.
There's a lot of these guys are like wingers, or they're small, and but I just think the number 10 was more what what Halifax was missing, just kind of that link up,
To the
upper
attack and the
midfield
defense
to the striker. And it's going to be interesting to see how they play, because yeah, I mean, you know, we got rid of two of those guys that were big, you know, kind of hold up, you know, classic number nines. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's interesting, but it's almost like, you know, I don't know if I mean, because they're smaller guys, you know, but they're quick. They're good with both feet. It's going to be interesting to see them play in behind. And, you know, so much of last year, I think if you had a really quick guy that was coming in from that attacking midfield, you know, it's almost like I don't know. I think we'll be all right.
I think our style of play is going to be totally different this year.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's
That's
all
what's
going
to be hard to say. You know,
I think it's going to be all about pace. I think that's it's, and I think that's why we'll probably see Akeem on the wing, because you're going to have like Joe like putting those balls in like to the wings to get crosses into Ibra and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be definitely interesting. Like I'm looking forward to seeing the different style. I felt like last year, because we didn't have a strong squad, Stephen was always trying to put like square pegs in round holes the whole time, and we never actually got to see the way he wanted to play. It was always just makeshift. So I think this year it's going to be it's going to be when it finally gets going, I suppose. But
because something that Angus McNabb said, who we both interviewed, what he said was this in the first season, everybody had an immediate need and for the present, but now you can kind of look to the future a bit, because that's totally true. Because it's the first season, you have 0 players, you need to get like 20 something players right now, and he's right. Now you can look a bit to the future, and I think that the Wanderers, they've got a lot of young players, because I think last year it was an older team with more experience, but now this year there's a younger team set up for the future. I guess I would say set up for the future.
The best part of this team coming up, in my opinion, is the fact that we're having this conversation right now, trying to pick and choose who plays where. And I think that's what makes this coming season so much fun, is that last year you kind of knew who was playing where, who was in form. We haven't even seen these guys play yet, and we're still asking these intense questions. Who's going to start on opposite wings? Who's going to be up front? Who's going to play in the hole? How's the midfield going to be structured? Will it be a 3-man midfield? Will it be 2? Are they going to play 3 in the back? Are they going to play 4 in the back? It's super fun, and I think because of YouTube and all these other avenues, we've been able to watch these guys play. We can kind of envision what Steven wants to do next year, and then subsequently make our little predictions, our starting 11s and everything else. But in reality, I think what makes this season so unique is that I don't think Steven has any idea who his starting 11 is yet. And I think that's
I think that if you have a manager who doesn't know what his starting 11 is, that is actually good, because there's so much competition. Because last year you kind of had like a few roles and maybe you're wondering about, this guy will fill in here or something. And to be honest, it's not that fun, but now you get to debate more, and I love debating.
Every week. I mean, when I coached high school, I had 17 players. I'd play 60, 70 minutes a game if I could. I'd play all 17 of them, but it was all a matter of who was showing the best in practice, who was understanding my instructions and my roles that I was trying to apply in practice. And they were going to get the 60, 70 minutes of the 90 a game because they were applying themselves. I felt like Steven, and injuries played a big part too last year.
Yeah.
Steven, you were just saying square peg, round hole, round peg, square hole. I don't know how the saying goes, but you know what I mean. There wasn't that competition. And I mean, I'm only using Mo as an example, just to use Mo as an example. I feel like that's why he got complacent towards the end of the season, because there really wasn't that competition for him on the left side of midfield. Now this year, there's 3 guys that can play in that position. You got 3 guys who can play in the hole.
band.
Yeah, you've got 2 guys who can play on the right. You've got 2 or 3 guys who can play up front. We've got 4 incredible central midfielders because from what I've heard, Scotty Firth is on another level right now. I feel like in what you were just saying, Jack, everybody's young. So everybody's hungry and wanting to prove themselves. And I feel like even though Steven may not know his starting 11, I feel like he feels like he's got 20 guys that are ready to go. So I think like Anthony said at the start, I'm rambling on now. Anthony said it would happen.
But there's so many center, and you just mentioned center mids, and there's so many center mids like LVG and Scott Firth. But you also can't exclude that Omar Krem and Abukar Sissoko have been playing together for the past 3 years.
And then there's Rampersad and even
and
even Rigi can play deep if he needs to, which I find also pretty amazing because you just brought up Omar. Omar's a guy who can play in multiple positions.
Oh, so many people have that we've talked to have said that like he's so skillful. Like he's one of those players. Like it's brought up as being like super fast and like one to watch, but Omar the same. He's just.
And I think to complement that, I think that Stephen Hart, it's the only coach that I have seen in the CPL that he tends to sign polyfunctional players. Like Stephen Hart tends to like sign polyfunctional players that can play in 2 different positions.
Okay.
If you see a lot of managers in the CPL, you have they tend to sign the roster according to maybe 2 to 3 polyfunctional players, but then the rest of the roster are like you play or you're a winger and you're a winger, you're a striker and you're a striker. But Stephen Hart not. I feel like he likes to
mix it up a little bit.
To mix it up a little bit, and that's a good thing though, because when injuries, especially a team that lives in Halifax and we have to travel a lot, you're gonna get players that that are not like maybe like in a rough shape for the trip, injury stuff. So I think that he's doing the right thing, like having that approach on signing players that can play.
I think he learned that from last year. As we were saying that he had like a good 11, and then everybody else wasn't quite up to the same standard. Whereas now that if X players out injured, he has somebody who can push across and take up the position if needed. So it's a really versatile squad, and I think they've put a lot of thought into this one. Whereas last year it just seemed to be let's get these players in.
Like what Jack was saying before, I think you just stepped out when Jack had mentioned that. Angus was saying on their show last year everybody was just looking for results, but now everybody's got a bit of a looser leash where they can make those 2-3 year signings. They have a long-term plan. I think, like you said, the word versatility. I think Steven wanted a versatile team last year, and as hardworking as those guys were, they just didn't quite have the ability. I feel like before we've even seen these guys play, we're confident in their ability, and I think that's it makes me excited. I just wanted to get going.
Yeah, me too.
Every position has competition, even nets. Now Oxner has competition too. So
that's actually what I'm more behind the scenes stuff. Jason Bolio, I don't know how to say his last name.
Billy.
Yeah, I heard that in the.
He's incredible, and has been performing as good, if not better, than Oxner.
And Oxner was possibly the best goalie I'm gonna say the best. Him or Nathan Ingham. I think if Oxner didn't win the Golden Glove, it should have been Nathan Ingham. I think that Nathan Ingham or Oxner should have gone the call up, because in my order it's like Nathan Ingham or Oxner, 1 or 2. It just depends on the game, because if they have a good game, then I'm going to put them at the top. If they have a bad game, they're just so good, both of them. And then there is going to be Marco Carducci. But I think that like those 2 goalkeepers were amazing. And if Jason is that even better than Oxner, we have 2 goalies that are so amazing. But I think also a big reason why Christian Oxner was so good in that season was because Jan Michael passed down a lot of his knowledge from all of his years playing professionally.
Oh, big time. Like having when he gets here, like it's having like Jan back around the squad again is going to be incredible. Like his personality is amazing. His experience is going to be is going to really help everybody too. Not just the goalkeepers. I think it's going to help the whole squad. So the sooner the better he gets back to Halifax, the squad's going to really appreciate it, I think.
Yeah,
I
and
like what you just
I
said there,
felt
Jack, about Ingham and Oxner being better than Carducci. And there's no hate on Carducci.
yeah,
But I think
no
if you
hate.
put Carducci in our net, he has worse results than Oxner did last year. And that's just my opinion. I feel like
Also, also
Controversial.
I know it is.
no. I totally agree. The problem also is that if you see like Calvary defense, you know that the way that they defend, like for example, Ingen has more credit because compare the defensive line of Calgary with the one of York, then you can tell, you know.
And Halifax
Obviously.
too. This is why
Yeah,
I
but
keep
there,
saying to
but
everybody that Ingham
Luca
is the best.
Gasparotto is possibly the best center back. Was possibly the best center back in the league last year.
Yeah.
Luca Gasparotto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
He played
true.
every
That is
single
very true.
game.
You can't rule out Nico Giansopoulos either.
Yeah, you couldn't either.
Shout out to our friend.
greatest backup goalie in the world, baby. Nico. No, but I know you're probably trying to move on from the topic, but I think one of the underrated things that not a lot of people talk about from last year was how good the keepers were. There weren't a lot of terrible keeper blunders. There weren't as many mistakes. I don't really think there was a bad goalie or a goalie that any team complained about coast to coast, because when you think about it, we finished last year. Of course, we know we had a good defensive unit and a good record, but I never really heard too many complaints about Jan Michael, even when he had his couple of little blunders. Mm-hmm. And when Oxner came in, even when he made his mistakes, I felt like there was a respect. You know, these kids are trying hard. These guys are trying hard. I felt like because we're a hockey country that has the hockey goalie, which is probably the hardest position to play in all of sports, at least in my opinion, we appreciate the soccer goalie as much. And I think that that's going to be something that the Canadian national team is going to benefit the most from this league, is that this is going to give young Canadian goalkeepers a platform that they never had before. Not just players, but I think a lot of good Canadian goalies get lost because once they get to the high youth levels, there's no professional opportunities for them because other countries specialize in goalkeeping. I'll use Germany as an example. So right. I think that the Canadian Premier League, because Oxner is a perfect example, youth sports was always the pinnacle for young Canadian goalies. Now that this league exists and you've got 16 positions a year, it's going to make the ceiling higher for good Canadian keepers.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to move on from this goalie topic and ask all of you three, who are your three favorite soccer players of all time? They can be retired, and why? And why?
Okay. Do you want me to start this one?
Sure. Yeah, you're in the spotlight already.
My ones are easy because I was talking about them earlier. Two of them, Beckham and Scholes. England, Manchester United. Beckham. I mean, me and Jack have talked about this. I'm an inverted winger now, but growing up, I was really a hard-sided midfield two-winger. So the way Beckham crossed the ball, I always loved it. But in the open play, I played a lot like Scholes. I was even tenacious like him and took a yellow card every other match. But I'd say beyond those two, my favorite player, and Anthony's probably going to laugh, and Carlos, and maybe even you, Andrew.
What about me?
Wes Brown. I don't know if you know who Wes Brown is, buddy.
No.
Jeez, it's Wes Brown. That's
I don't know who that is.
You don't even know who that is, Andrew?
That says it all, man, to be honest.
There it is. So Wes
so you get no flack from me.
Wes Brown was a Manchester United Academy product who played in both the 1999 and 2008 Champions League finals. In 99, he was on the bench. In 2008, he was the starting right back and actually got the assist on the cross to Ronaldo to give them the 1-0 lead. Wes Brown took a lot of heat during his career for poor performances. I think he has like this dubious record of having 3 last-minute own goals in his career. He's just always something about him. But between 2006 to 2009, where Manchester United were really starving for a right back after Gary Neville was just kind of getting old, and it was just before Raphael was kind of coming into his place. Wes Brown, Manchester United boy, put his heart on his sleeve, sacrificed so much, and said, I'm going to try play right back and see what happens. And then, like I said, you fast forward the end of that second season, he's the starting right back and got an assist in the Champions League final. But from a personal perspective, we saw him play in a friendly against Celtic in Toronto 2004 or 5. 2004 or 5, before your time, Jack. And him and John O'Shea waited after the game to give every fan high five, signed stuff. And, you know, these are two Manchester United Academy guys. And anytime anybody ever asks me this question, I always say Beckham and Scholes from a playing perspective, but having the opportunity to see Wes Brown's whole career kind of come full circle, and then to have that personal moment where he signed my shirt, and I almost said a bad word, signed my shirt, and just took the time to talk to all of us, I thought was really cool. So Wes Brown, do your research.
Okay, I have this computer
sorry,
and I might like write it here, but I'm afraid that my Zoom will go away and then I can't find you guys again. But
I'll write you down on Instagram.
I'll do it after.
I'll send it to you on Instagram right now.
Okay.
Because I know what Anthony's about to say. There's not much research to do.
We're talking about we're talking about the 3 best players in the world, and you say
no, 3 favorites.
3 favorites.
3 favorites. Okay, sorry. So you said 3 best, but still.
I was gonna say 3 best.
Where's Bleeding Brown? Jesus Christ. Sorry to blaspheme on your show, but wow. Go ahead, Carlos.
Oh, you go ahead.
So before Cristiano Ronaldo, there was another Ronaldo who played for Brazil.
Oh, Ronaldo, the Brazilian.
Yeah. He, like, every time I watched him, I got like little kind of goosebumps. So when David Beckham joined Real Madrid, Spanish football was on TV a lot more back home, because they follow obviously the best English players around and stuff like that. And I got to see a lot more of Ronaldo. And just even then, he was kind of a little bit past his prime, like his knees had gone, all that kind of stuff. But he still is the best finisher I've ever seen. He is incredible. If you ever want to be a striker, just sit and watch his videos. He always knew when to run at the right time. His step overs were amazing. I don't know, countless times he's made a fool of a goalkeeper. It's incredible to watch. He's amazing. Another one would probably be, I would say, Teddy Sheringham. So he played for Tottenham, then went to Manchester United, and then back to Tottenham, and then he played until he was like 41 or 42.
Yeah.
But
wow.
he was probably the best player I've ever seen that was just plays off the front player. He just always sat in that kind of like little hole in behind the striker, and he could just pick a pass. He was a great striker himself too, but he had a great relationship with a great team with Alan Shearer. I think it was in probably Euro '96 for England. The two of them together were incredible. His time he scored the first goal, Chris, was it? In the Champions League final in '99?
Because Solskjaer has won it. But it was like you were saying, just he could pick a pass, but he was a great striker in his own regard. Right place, right time, finding those little pockets of space. When the ball's at his foot, it's going in the back of the net, or ending up on somebody else's foot and then going in the back of the net. Like, Teddy ball game was a different level. Yeah, you're right.
It was incredible, and he was like a kind of almost like a missing piece for United, that they'd been missing Eric Cantona, and he was the same kind of player. He just was able to sit back and just pick a pass. And then probably my third one, I have to try and pick as many Tottenham players as I can. So and there's not too many great ones to choose from. So
I'm gonna say Harry Kane.
No, I'm actually not. I'm gonna say
Christian Eriksen.
God, no. He's never say that name around me again.
I know. I saw an Instagram post where you got mad at him, right?
Yeah. I'd say David Ginola. He came to Newcastle from PSG, and he like tore the Premier League apart. And then he moved to Tottenham, and he was the Player of the Year in the Premier League in 98, 99. But watching him play was incredible. He dragged an awful Tottenham team to mid-table, which we didn't deserve to be. We deserved probably to be relegated. And some of the goals he scored, how he was able to beat players, he's incredible to watch. And it makes me feel old now, like you wouldn't know these guys, but they're definitely worth checking up on. He was an incredible player, and he was just a joy to watch. So yeah, there's my three.
I'm surprised you didn't say Robbie Keane.
Like I love Robbie Keane, and but yeah, it would definitely be tough not to say Robbie Keane, even Roy Keane too. Like I mean, like it's just, but just watching like Sheringham the way he played, I feel like Robbie Keane almost tried to copy sometimes the way that Teddy Sheringham played, and then like watching like David Ginola like just run down that wing and cross the ball in was just incredible.
He's worth doing more research on than Wes Brown, Jack. Big time.
He's incredible. I'm dying to hear Carlos's because it's going to be three. It's going to be three Peruvians that we've never heard of. So.
I think there's going to maybe
we should give Carlos a stipulation that they can't be in South America.
After Jack just said it's going to be 3 South Americans, you said that.
I'll tell you, I want to name Maradona, Cruyff, and Van Basten, but they're too updated, so I got to go with something that I really, really enjoy when I was young, like able to like really, really know what's going on in football. So number 1, Phenomenal Ronaldo Nazario, the Brazilian one.
Okay.
Number
One South American.
One South American. Number 2, the best, the magic poetry in his feet, Zinedine Zidane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Zidane.
Zizou, yeah. And I'm dying to pick Batistuta, South American too, but no.
Why not, man? Batty was good. Batty was very good.
Batistuta. Yeah, I'll put Batistuta there.
You might as well, man. He was amazing.
Yeah.
Not to tell you who to pick, but he was amazing.
Yeah.
The best footballer hair of all time, that lad.
No, Batistuta wasn't unreal, man. Like the things that he did in Italy, oh my God. Like I could go for it, like, I can tell you like more, but the way that he played, it was amazing. All-time favorite. I saw when I was a kid also Lothar Matthäus, and I really like him when I was like,
wow.
like he was.
That's incredible. Where'd you see him?
In Italy, 90.
Wow, that's crazy.
How old were you?
No. On TV, I didn't go to the World Cup.
I thought like I saw Lothar Matthäus too. I thought you saw.
No.
Why do you think you were saying wow? I was like, oh, you get to see him on TV. Amazing.
That's why I did the math in my head, Anthony. I was like, wait a second, how old?
Lothar Matthäus, no TV. Yeah, no live. Well, I'm gonna name Ronaldinho too. He deserves to be there. Pure magic and.
Now I'm going to go into my rapid fire questions.